Welcome back to another episode of Kicking with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific North. Fresh from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
The not so sweet Mariners, baby.
Last time we talked to you was on the eve of the season, and we were bright eyed and bushy tailed and had just waves of emotion and anticipation. And it hasn't been a smooth start to the season by any stretch of the imagination. We'll talk about the first three series and talk about players, talk about the team, talk about management, talk about ownership, talk about all sorts of things. But before we do that, why don't I tell you a little bit about us? If you're looking for a guy that has been to one Mariners game so far this year, and in that game, they matched in hits the amount of games I've gone to, which is one. And it was not fun. But if you're looking for me to go to more and then they'll start getting more hits, maybe I'll be the good luck charm that just makes this snowball start rolling. If you're looking for a guy like that, you're looking for a guy like me, your boy Coach Red. You can find me on X, the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and leave a comment or two. And if you're looking for a guy that is fired up,
Right.
good, bad, and indifferent. And since he's fired up, he's just a big F you today, and that's Kane.
Yep. I'm Kane. You can find me over on Twitter at K2406, TikTok and Twitch, Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Follow us. Do it, freaking do it.
Mariners are sitting at 3-7 currently after their first three series. Started off the season with a win like they always seem to do, and then end up with I almost said Oakland A's, but the Athletics of Sacramento. Split a series with them 2-2. Uh, Only won one game in a three-game set against the Tigers, and then go to San Francisco and get swept. There's a lot of moving parts throughout this whole thing. That Mariners have had a couple of games where the bats did come alive, where they actually scored runs. They lost those games. When they've scored over 5 runs, they've lost every single one of those games, which is not something that you typically see out of the Mariners. And you see them on the wrong side of a lot of one-run games. You were hoping that the hitting philosophy and the success that you had at the end of last season was going to funnel a little bit in to the start of this season. It hasn't done it so far. We're also small sample size still. It's early, but we know better than almost every other fan base in there. Doesn't If you miss the playoffs by one game, it doesn't matter if you lose that game in March or April, or if you lose it in September. They all
Yeah.
count the same.
The last couple of years, it started around, 4-6, 4-6. I believe one of the years they had a 6-4 record. I think their best record through 10 games in the last 6 or 7 years. It's not a fun start. And the games that they have won, it's just been so drama filled, right? And very,
Late
very
game heroics.
quiet. Yeah, and it's exactly what happened last year. I think that's a lot of what like the cadence of the people right now is we're watching the same exact thing that was put out there last year. And they're not wrong because they're up there in strikeouts. The one stat I will throw this stat out before we can dive into anything. 7 for 58 as of yesterday with runners in scoring position.
But the one stat you didn't talk about was the Mariners are near the top of the AL, at least were on
Eight.
Saturday in walks.
They're eighth in home runs as well.
And that's really what I think the team's going to boil down to. We talked a lot during the off season. Your free agent signings were Donovan Solano, re-signing Jorge Polanco, and guys that are currently on the team, Mastroboni and Rowdy Tellez. So I excluded Mastroboni because out of my stats, I'm going to go through some stats here, just
Mhm.
hitting wise. I excluded him because he's had
Three at bats, I
one
believe.
start, he's had seven at bats,
Oh,
and he's 2 for 7. But one of them was like off the pitcher
yeah.
and beats it out to first. So I'm kind of going with the guys that have gotten a little bit more run because out of
Fair.
all of the position players, he's been the guy with the least amount of run. So
Fair.
one hit balloons some stuff up.
Sure.
So top of your average guys right now going into today's game. Jorge Polanco is batting 450. Dylan Moore's batting 368. Victor Robles at 273. Cal Raleigh at 222. Julio Rodriguez at 216. And Luke Rayleigh at 200. Everyone else is south of the Mendoza line.
Yeah.
Let me talk about the guys that are your platoon hitters.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the platoon guys.
Yeah, let's talk about the platoon guys. They're
Mitch
not
Garver.
very
Mitch Garver batting a sultry 125.
he's running into a lot of bad luck.
He's
Lot of
also,
bad luck.
yeah, a lot of bad luck. I watched him against Tariq Skubal get set
Yeah.
down
He got
with
he
two
got
strikeouts on 6 pitches. Bad luck. Bad luck.
he
Do you all know what happened
yeah.
there? The bat didn't come anywhere close to the ball. That was the bad
Yeah.
luck.
Other than that, it's been a lot of hard hit balls that go right to somebody. He's getting good barrel on it. And then in the Oakland
Sometimes,
series, he had that ball get blown back in about 20 feet that he blasted to right center. So hey, it's tough. They're also only hitting him against lefties. They're not putting him in the lineup a little bit unless he's catching.
which that's how it should be
Like I
till it proves you
agree,
wrong. All right, let's go
agree.
to the other. Uh,
Yeah,
Donovan Solano is batting
big free agent signing.
071.
Yeah, finally got a base hit, and it was just a, excuse my language, shit base hit that Matt Chapman couldn't field all the way, that he fell on top of. He beat it out. Rowdy Tellez has 2 hits
Rowdy
on the
Tellez is
year.
batting 067.
Yeah,
So the other thing is some of these guys like Randy Rosarena. Rosarena has run into a lot of bad luck baseball
that
over the
is,
course of these first 3 series,
yeah,
right? Cal Raleigh's run
yeah,
into a little bad luck baseball.
yeah.
He's inches away from a grand slam that wins you a game down in San Francisco.
That's true. That's
Julio's ran
true.
into a little bit of bad luck, right? Like you see that happen. I would say out of those guys in the bottom, Garver's the most bad luck, but it hasn't been, I don't think, egregious, right? You might have one extra base hit on there. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't seen a lot from Tellez or Solano early on. But
Mm-hmm.
when you also look at this team, they are so highly leveraged on staying healthy. And you start the season with George Kirby coming off or not starting the season with the team. In the two starts that they make in his spot, you had Emerson Hancock, who had just a very dreadful start, and you blew up the bullpen so bad you had to send him down to the minors so you could just get guys in the building to eat some innings.
Yep.
And then you brought up Luis F. Castillo for who knows why. Who knows why? You
Yeah.
also look at
At least he gave you three. I
the
mean,
bullpen. You're missing Matt Brash still. You're missing Troy Taylor. Uh,
I want to say
Goss hasn't
Coar.
looked good to start the year.
I'll tell you who has looked good. Gabe Spire.
I'm still talking about bad luck and injuries. Chill out.
Sure.
And then you look at Jorge Blanco, your best hitter, goes on the paternity leave, also is having some soreness from the surgically repaired knee. He's got a side ailment, which is why he sat out the last two games after, and he got pulled at the end of that San Francisco game where he was like 4 for 5
Yeah.
and hitting the crap out of the ball. And then you go into last night's game, yesterday afternoon's game, and Victor Robles makes the catch of the year so far, hands down.
Yes. Yes. I
And
agree.
feared he has a dislocated shoulder and he hits the injured list. So
Not very
if you're really
fun.
looking at it right now, Dylan Moore has not been an everyday player. He's been about an every other day player so far, and he's getting a little more playing time because putting the ball out of the park. But two of your top three hitters, one is on the 10-day IL, and the other one, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to play day in and day out.
I mean, he's DHing tonight, so
That's bad.
that's really bad. It's
But that's on ownership. They
it
were
is.
waiting for the young kids to come up. And some of the young kids are balling out in the minors, but they're not ready to make that leap
No,
yet.
you can't give him 3 games in, right?
Locklear's the closest one of the younger
And
troops to
he
come
had a
up.
monster weekend.
Yeah.
He had a
I mean,
monster
Ben
weekend.
Williamson's doing good stuff in AAA. Cole Young, I think, still is a little while out. I think that even
But he's
with Bliss being under 200, he's getting on base. He's a menace when he's on base. And that's the one thing that you are seeing the Mariners do very well is
took
be aggressive
yesterday's
on the
game.
base pass. They did get picked off a few times by lefties, especially against Robbie Ray, but they've also stolen 12 bags so far in 10 games.
Yep.
Like I think they're going to continue to do that and put the pressure on the defense and pitcher
I
as
mean,
this year goes along.
one of the big things for me that I've seen is anytime there's a runner that's like right on second or on third, what is the first swing you see out of the next batter up? It's a daddy hack. Like they're trying to go yard, right? And then it puts them in a bad spot. So then they're geared up
Also,
and
I'm going to venture to
lots
say
of
that
double
was a
play
pretty
balls.
sexist comment that you said. It could also be a mommy hack.
Sure, thanks, coach, for making it socially acceptable.
Yep.
Sure.
That's what we try to do.
Um,
PC podcast.
sure, but like, they're trying to swing for the fences. Yeah, Julio is probably the main culprit for that too. Um,
Julio has has three home runs
home
now,
runs.
and he has 5 RBIs.
Like, but
You're gonna. I'm not mad at Julio, and he's taking more walks.
yes, he
He's
is.
striking
But
out less.
as a
He's
team,
taking more walks.
5 or 7 for 58 is just atrocious. And it's off, solo homers and guys on first and somebody hits a home run. Like it's hard for
I
them to
mean,
hit people in.
Polanco's looked pretty solid. Randy had the
Yeah.
first game heroics to put him back in, and Polanco did the icing on top.
Mhm.
3 for 3 with a sacrifice bunt
Yeah,
and
that was a little
two-run
wild.
dinger. But that's where I want to go. The RBIs. Yeah, we've talked about some of the guys that are putting the ball apart. Cal's got a couple. Randy's got,
Was fun watching Julio and Cal go yard.
yeah, Randy's got a couple. Polanco's got a couple. Dylan Moore's got a couple, right?
Yeah.
These guys are putting the ball out of the park and you like to see it. But RBI wise, Polanco's sitting there at 8.
Mhm.
He's your team leader. Julio Rodriguez is at 5. Randy's at 4. Cal Raleigh's at 3. Victor Robles is also at 3. Dylan Moore's at 2. Everyone else is 1 or below. And I legit saw a stat watching, the before the game or in game. Jordan Alvarez is batting like a buck 25 with 1 homer. The dude has 7 ribbies. He's batting a buck 25. The only guy that's even close to that is Randy Rosarena. He's the only guy that I talked about who's got a sub 200 batting average, and he's sitting at 4 ribbies. Like the Mariners have to be able to score more runs because it's also your elite starters. They've been good to start the
Not
season.
great.
Your
Yeah,
starters
outside
have been
of
good. Your 4 starters that you looked as core starters. I'm not counting Emerson Hancock in this. I'm not counting Luis F. Castillo,
That's
right?
fair. The
So
Pebble.
Logan Gilbert sitting at a 3 ERA, Luis Castillo sitting at a 3 ERA, Wu's at a 3.75, and Miller's at a 5.78.
I will say, like Brian Woo's been electric. I don't care that they hit that Yastrzemski went took him deep. He pitched amazing yesterday. That fastball played so well. Ugh.
Well, and Miller, I think that Miller would have behooved them to go to the bullpen a hair quicker, but after the bullpen being completely taxed the day before, you were just kind of stuck where it was like Dan Wilson was just praying that Bryce could get through the sixth.
Yeah. And let's talk about that 14 or the 4 hour game on Friday for a second. I put out a tweet on Friday after the game. I was pretty fumed because that umpire was ridiculous. Maris also ran into a lot of bad umpiring. CB Buckner, one of them, took a quarter of the plate away. Um, and just the guy on Friday, man. Carlos Vargas, who's probably threw 70 pitches last week.
Yeah, a lot.
70 because he threw 40 earlier in the week. And then he pitched again that week.
Yeah, he pitched on Friday and he tweaked something. I was listening to that one on the radio. He tweaked
Yeah.
something and tried to get it out, and apparently
Pitched
should
his
have
nuts
gotten out
off.
of the inning.
Pitched his nuts. No, no. Yeah, should have got out of the inning for the win. But the umpire,
Well,
because Cal
it
was
would have been a save.
sure. And Cal, I think I have to put it on Cal for this because he was set up inside and he thought it was going more outside, but instead he dotted it and Cal slid to it. So umpire, whatever, but it was a dot in the top left quadrant, in the center of the quadrant, and he calls a ball, and he also screwed him out of a strike earlier to Sam Huff.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but also the Mariners have not their bullpen. There's been a few guys that have stood out, but
Mm,
Colin Snyder hasn't produced like he has last year. You're putting Trent Thornton into some pretty high leverage
bad
situations that you don't love.
situations.
Taylor Saucedo gets optioned down because they need another arm, and he hasn't looked, you know, super good behind the dish.
Mm,
Bizardo and Vargas have both had their up and down games so far
mm,
this year. And, you look at Munoz, who is sitting with the 0 ERA. Couple of those
super
appearances haven't
scary.
been pretty.
No,
You touched on Gabe Spire. Gabe Spire's looking electric, and then
he
Santos
is.
has given up a run in 3
Yeah,
appearances. So
and the worst thing is they're not striking anybody out.
that's a big issue.
I mean, everybody's down. Santos doesn't even have a strikeout apparently. As of yesterday, it's crazy, dude. Like that's the one thing that we could rely on with this pitching staff, and I mean the pitching staff's doing it right, but the relievers too. They were getting strikeouts last year.
Well, Logan Gilbert went 5 innings and
Yeah,
had 10 Ks against the Tigers.
yeah.
Logan Gilbert's got 18. He's doing it.
JP just
He's doing it. But you've got Troy Taylor, who's already rehab starting. He's not too
mhm,
far out. Brash is amping up for some rehab starts.
mhm.
You've got Kirby, who's probably,
I
I'm
have
going
a
to say, two
question.
or three more weeks out.
I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
Koar, when he comes back, is that an option you think that they're going to throw into this bullpen? Because he looked great last spring
I
before
don't
it went. I mean,
I don't think it's kind of tough right now because where you're at with the bullpen, obviously Jesse Hahn, who was called up, is a likely candidate when one of these guys gets healthy, right? In Troy Taylor and Brash. Both of those guys are going to supersede Jackson Coer, right?
sure,
100%. The issue that you have is the guys that are currently in your bullpen, there's no options left outside of Jesse Hahn, right?
right.
That's why Sauce got sent down because he had one option left. The
right?
rest of
And
these guys are
then
not sitting with options. I think that if you look at first casualty, is probably going to be Trent Thornton because his stuff doesn't play. And I think that Vargas has gutted out enough stuff early on that he can be that long guy for you. And his stuff, I think, plays at a higher level than Thornton.
and you
Thornton
know
is
what? He
pitch to
got lit
contact
up
guy.
one time. Vargas got lit up one time. Let's be honest. Outside of that, he's looked pretty good.
Agreed. And Bizardo got lit up one
Yeah,
game, and he's
yeah,
from what he did down the stretch last year. That's another guy that you can see potentially them moving away from and him coming back on a minor league deal. I think the Mariners have a bigger infatuation with him than others do. So you've got
yeah,
some people that I think can hang around the organization, but when you look at Brash and Taylor, those are high strikeout guys.
yeah.
Santos is typically a high strikeout guy. Mooney is still getting people to strike out, right?
Yes.
Gabe Spire is getting people to strike out.
Dude, Gabe Spires just looked electric. I will go on and on about it. Everybody I listen to has been raving about it. I've been listening to Seattle sports
He's
in
healthy
the
again.
morning. Yeah, I mean, he got confidence back. This stuff is working.
What
Absolutely.
he did at the beginning of last year when he was healthy before he got dinged up is the
Mm.
same guy.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. You know, let's get away from pitching if that's okay. I wanna talk a little bit more about the hitting. JP Crawford, man. I don't know what to do with him. Because the bats don't look very good.
But he keeps getting on base.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. Just
Coming into this
it's
game, outside of
uh,
Master Boney, who has 7 at bats, JP's getting on a 361 clip.
sure,
He gets on base.
sure.
He gives you
But
solid defense. You don't have a guy that's going to be able to take over shortstop right here, right now.
I know.
You're still a year away. You're going to ride that thing out. He's going to get on base. The body language has been a little subpar. Obviously, he wants to get things going again, right? Get this season started off just like everyone does. And especially with him coming off a down year, an injury riddled year last year,
Mm.
it's tough. And he's still looking phenomenal defensively.
Yeah,
And I would say,
100%.
as a whole, outside of Jorge Polanco at third base, Mariners are looking great defensively. Outside of throws to home,
Yeah.
Jorge Polanco at third base and throws to home, kryptonite for the Mariners defense. Everything else looks very good.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Bliss is giving you the range that you want. Second, I mean, when Cole Young gets up and plays second, it's gonna probably look a lot better. Uh, but the one thing that I do have a knock on Ryan Bliss is just the arm. He's got to get a little stutter throw and to get it to first. But dude, the plays he made yesterday were whoo.
He's gonna, if he can get the arm strength up, he has the potential to be a Gold Glove type second baseman with the amount of ground he can cover,
Yes.
and some of that he's able to get to these balls and get to them a little bit sooner, where the lack of arm strength hasn't really been the biggest factor. Um, but that leads you to the other part of this team. We talked about 12 stolen bases, and you've got a couple that haven't been counted. And right as we talked about how the defense played, well, Rowdy Telez just boots
Hold on,
a
Ross.
uh, right at him.
Whoa. Yeah, he did. But he actually made some great plays at first the other day, too. I believe it was
Flat,
Saturday. He made some good
just
plays.
getting caught flat footed. Oh, Rowdy Telez. I don't know if he makes it out of this series unless he puts a few more bats to ball. I think Tyler Locklear is hammering on the door at AAA right now.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, I
man.
I get it. Like they had to do it, especially with the Haniger release. Um, it's just not pretty, dude. It's not very good.
When management gives you so little room for error and you're playing in those margins, could the Mariners have went and got a competent veteran to come in to potentially be a fifth starter or a long guy out of the bullpen? Yes, they could have. Could the Mariners have had more depth for the outfield so you're not turning to Dom Canzone 10 games into the season? Yes, they could have. Could the Mariners have looked at bringing in someone a higher quality than Rowdy Telez, Donovan
Oh,
Solano, and
I have a
moving Jorge Polanco? Yes, they could have.
I have a quick and easy solution. He's playing on the Astros at first base. Could have been Christian Walker, who would have gave you plus defense at first and a good stick to boost.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's not just all on management. You thought coming into this year with Edgar being around the team full time, you got Seitzler there as well. Dan Wilson being a little bit more comfortable. Dan Wilson is
Has
falling
not been
into
great.
his bullpen usage hasn't been great. I, he's platooning a lot, which the Mariners have kind of put themselves in a hole to do. And it just really sucks because day in, day out, your 6, 7, 8 hitters haven't been super consistent. Um, and it hurts when, Julio and Cal throughout the course of that first series against the A's weren't really that sharp. A lot of their
No,
numbers have came post that. So it's been tough. And like I said, Randy Arozarena, he's had some of the worst luck. He lines into a double play with the bases loaded on a ball that had 105 exit velo and an expected batting average of like 980.
dude, Randy was so locked in last week. It was like every at bat it just was suspenseful because the barrel to ball ratio was insane for him.
And the strikeout ratio. He has the most strikeouts on the
I
team.
mean, that's gonna be a given, dude. He's either gonna hit the piss out of it or strike out.
All right.
I think we've kept. I love the guy, man. He's electric when shit goes right. Like you
Oh, it's
know,
true. Dude, his bat spike in the first game of the
woo,
season was, I mean, fed me, gave
ooh,
me all sorts of juice the next day. So,
yeah.
Kane, we're going to talk about over the course of the first three series,
Uh,
who was your position player of the week?
Position player of the week,
Who
like as
was,
in
as looking back?
like defensively.
Position player, that means you're going to take what they did defensively and what they did at the plate.
I mean, in the last week, I it's hard because Cal hasn't been exactly great.
Then I would venture that you should pick somebody else.
Yeah, because like he hasn't been throwing dudes out. That's a big thing, you know. Trying to put that in the equation as well. I mean, I'd have to say like Julio because Julio's been pretty nails out in center, and you really saw him see the ball well. I mean, the 216 average, yeah, whatever, but he's been like when he's making contact, it's loud. And I think what he does in center field, how much ground he can cover, and how that he has covered this year so far, and some of the plays that he made in the last week, and also the big home runs, I think put him as my position player. What about you, Coach?
I'm gonna go with Jorge Polanco just because even though he's missed
Mm,
time, what he's done with the stick won you opening day.
yep,
It put you in a position to win that first game with the Giants. He's leading the team in RBIs, leading the team in average, and especially leading the team in RBIs with three less games than your
mm,
big boppers that haven't missed a game like Julio and Randy, right?
yep,
So go ahead and give me Jorge Polanco. Don't love what he's done defensively, but I think that the defense is going to slowly fade away because you are not going to be giving up currently
yeah,
DH bats on a consistent basis to Rowdy Telez and Mitch Garver and Donovan Solano. They will get
yep.
their platoon at bats and they will play in the field, but they are not getting DH bats. I would venture to say that a lot of those are going to be going Jorge Polanco's way for the foreseeable future.
And yeah, I agree. But this is also the best start to Julio we've probably seen.
It
So
it's his hottest start, and that's not. He's been a traditionally slow starter.
mhm,
Um, I think he hit his third home run. Uh,
yesterday.
I'm talking about last year. It was like towards
Uh
the end of April.
yeah, I think it was in May.
Yeah, so not great in previous years. So getting off a little bit hotter, and
Mhm.
you expect to see that hopefully snowball a little bit more and more and more as the year goes along. All
Yeah.
right, who is your pitcher of the first three series?
It's Brian Wu. I think that Brian Wu's been very, very good every outing. He was great in the battle against Scoopel, right? That was the game that they were down. No, there was a game that they were down. He was pitching. Somebody got him ahead. He got the win.
It was the A's.
Was it the A's? Yeah. He was nails against the A's again. And I believe he hasn't lost to the A's.
No, he's got a sub one ERA career against the A's.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I want to say he pitched well against the Tigers, or did he
He
get lit
didn't pitch
up?
against the Tigers. He pitched yesterday
Oh, so that
against the
was his second
Giants.
start? Okay. See,
We're 10 games in, two times through the
yeah,
rotation.
fair enough. It was one pitch to just Dremsky, mistake pitch. Brian Wu's been striking dudes out. His stuff has been moving. He looks like he's in mid-season form out there. It's just been fun to watch him out there. So he's my pitcher of the week. Coach Red, who's yours?
I want to give an honorable mention to Logan Gilbert, what he was able to wheel and deal on opening day. Got hit
Oh,
with one homer. I mean, but went seven strong, 8 Ks. Then he followed that up. Couldn't get as deep in the game, but gets 10 Ks. I mean, he's looking every bit the ace that we expect him to be.
mhm.
But Gabe Spire for me, dude. He's got more appearances
Yeah.
than Munoz. The little unit is back. He's been the door shutter right now. He's been the guy that's been pitching in higher leverage situations, and when you need to limit run loss, he's been doing that at such a high level. And I know I was listening to it on the radio. He struck Willie Adames out with three fastballs. Like that's tough to do. Willie Adames is a
This,
very good baseball player.
yeah, but he hits righties way better.
I
Way
don't
better than
I
lefties.
don't care.
Reverse splits guy.
I don't care. I
Fair
do
enough.
care about Gabe Spire just throwing
Yeah.
gasoline
It
on.
has been fun to watch him. It's I love Sauce, but it's just like whenever Sauce goes on the mound, I'm like, all right. His story's cool.
It's an adventure. But that's the thing too, is Sauce is a guy that can be that pitcher when you're up big or down big. The Mariners have been playing in a lot of close games right now. And when he has come in, the results haven't been there. That's why he's in AAA right now. I do think that there is a spot for him on this team, especially when you are running one lefty in Gabe Spire in that bullpen. That's the only left handed pitcher on staff right now. So I do think that having another lefty, because Saucedo does do very well against left-handed hitters, right?
Sure.
So I think there's going to be a spot for him. It's unfortunate, but that's what happens when you're 3-7. Like it's not all roses. But now we're gonna look forward. You've got two series against the teams from Texas. Right now, currently in division, you're at 500, 2-2 against the A's. So you've got Houston coming down, you've got Texas coming down for a total of 6 games. Mariners really need to win a majority of these games, if not all of them. They should win all of them. Then that would be way more better.
Yep.
But
People
they're
better.
they're gonna need some players to step up. So, Kane, who is your pick to click position player for this week?
Uh, Maybe the big number. I think he's going to improve on last week. You finally saw him start swinging the stick a little better in San Francisco. Um, I think he's mad that he's not throwing dudes out. And I think he's gonna work harder to throw dudes out when they're trying to steal. So give me Cal this week. I just think he's gonna start roping the ball. He's also got a 20 game on base streak.
23.
Yeah. So give me Cal Raleigh. Been getting on base a lot too. So Coach Red, who's your pick to click this week?
Randy Rose Arena.
I love it.
I mean, he's seeing the ball, he's putting good bat to ball. He's hitting when he's not striking out, he is hitting the ever living cover off the ball. He's just running into some bad luck baseball. And over the course of a season, that will even itself out. I do think that with division games coming up, he knows what the AL West looks like. He knows that you have to win games in divisions. This is a guy that was playing year in, year out versus the upstart Orioles. You've got the Yankees, you've got the Red
Yankees.
Sox, and then you had Toronto that's been good in his tenure there too. So division games are always a big spot. And Randy's a guy that I think lives up to the lights where you're sitting right now. This is very important to the future of this season, this little 6 game stretch. I mean, if you can come out of this and be 5-1 and be at 500 after the week, you're sitting in a lot better spot than if you don't get anywhere close to that. You need to start stacking wins. And I think that Randy is a guy that this team can feast on and play up with that personality with Robles not being on the field.
I also have one another question for you. Do you think they need to start being a little bit more aggressive at the plate? Because for what I've watched, right, it's been a lot of first pitch fastballs or something right down the middle of the plate that they just watch go by. You know what I mean? Like the Tigers jumped all over Logan because he likes to throw a lot of first pitch strikes, right? And maybe try to jump on that fastball that you're going to get on the first pitch.
It's a pretty loaded question, right? Each
Sure.
game's going to have a slightly different. Who are you going up against? Where are you sitting at any point in time during the game?
Mm-hmm.
Do you stick with what you came into the game with? Do you have to make that adjustment early because you're up big, down big? It's tough to say. Attack balls in the zone and hit to all aspects of the field, right?
Mm.
You've seen Julio and Dylan Moore do a very good job of this. Dylan Moore, his 2 home runs. One was Oppo Taco against Tariq Skubal. The other one was dead central off of Robbie Ray. Typically, where you've seen the power numbers come from Timo, he's pulling the hell out of that ball. I think
Mm-hmm.
that was his first opposite field home run at T-Mobile Park in like 3 or 4 years
Yeah, it was like 2021 or something like that. It was the last time he hit an opposite home run.
at T-Mobile Park.
Yeah.
So, and you're seeing Julio, you're seeing Randy Rosarena hit some balls hard the other way too.
Mm.
So those are typically guys that have been heavy pulls. So stay within yourself and just get on base more. When you get more traffic, you've seen in the games where they unfortunately were down big and kind of clawed their way back. Just getting on base, putting the ball in play, making defenders. Colt Keith, you had ball up the middle, Mariners were running on it. He double clutched, looks to first. I think I think it was
JP
JP runs it
gifted him
out,
first.
and then
No
next
throw because he
then
was
next
trying to get a double play.
next play, Robles drives in two.
Yeah, that ball was just absolutely shat on.
Get guys
Uh,
on base. You've got a lot of speed throughout this team. Get guys
mhm.
on base, create havoc. Now, my other question for you: Who is your pitcher for the upcoming week?
Give me Bryce. Give me Bryce here.
Bryce
He's
bounce
gonna
back.
be, yeah. I think he's gonna be pitching at home. Last two starts haven't been exactly what he's wanted. Uh, Hyphen touched on it today that he just kind of looks unsure. Like you could see that some of his pitches, like the other day when he was just missing it, you could see the body language. Um, I think he is just one little figuring it out away from really putting together the campaign we all think that he can put together this year. So give me Bryce Miller this week, and I believe it's going to be against Texas. So, Coach Red, who's going to be your pitcher of the week?
Pitcher of the week for me is going to be El Bombero, Andres Munoz. And
Hmm?
I say that because I think that he's going to get 3 saves this week. Um, these are going to be big time games. He's going to be amped up. I think he's going to tell Dan Wilson that he's good. You do have an off day in the middle of this, so
Yep.
you got 3 game break, 3 games, and then you're going to be traveling. I think the next series is against the Reds, which are going to a pretty hitter friendly park. So I think with all that being said, Troy Taylor probably not too far off. Santos can take some save opportunities in Cincinnati if needed. I think that you unleash Munoz against your in division
I
teams
think so
and
too.
go ahead and get if the opportunity is there, let him go close the door.
That's fair. You got a starting pitcher
Do I
at
have
all?
one? No, I
Yeah.
picked a reliever for this
Well,
week.
right. But if you were to pick a starter to have a good week or a good outing this week, who you got?
I picked Logan Gilbert because I think he can have 2 good outings this week because he's pitching tonight and will get start on Sunday. So
Mm,
obviously I try to find guys where I can double up on them because
fair
that way if
enough.
they have a good start and a great start or they have a mediocre start and a good start, it looks a lot better than a guy that just had a mediocre start.
Fair.
I'm playing the odds.
You're playing safe. That's what you're doing.
Well, I'm playing safe, and it's not like Logan Gilbert hasn't been pitching like an absolute stud muffin out
Yeah,
there.
he
I
has
mean,
been.
Walter has shown up.
Yeah, he has.
And we need you guys to show up for us on social media. You can find me, your boy Coach Red, on X at the Real Coach Red, on Instagram at the Real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the Real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and leave a comment or two. Kane, where you at?
Find me over on Twitter, Kane2406, TikTok, and Twitch, Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Follow us. Do it, freaking do it.
And as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.